Hello. Welcome to the beginning of another ASMR Sunday Sangha. Other than me lowering my voice to make it more soft-spoken and not diving too deeply into anything that'll keep you up at night, this will be a particularly normal Sunday, just with an extra emphasis on relaxation and spiritual affirmation and validation. I say other than that, it would be a typical Sunday, it would be a typical Sangha, but welcome for those who are joining now. I wanted to start with an affirmation that whatever you are experiencing in this moment, including what may be going on in one's mind, heart, body, their emotional space, know that how you are experiencing it is valid. And I am sorry if there's any difficulties that you are facing in life at this time. Hello, dear Les. Hello, Master. Nice to see you too. Good evening, Patience. Long time no see indeed. I would love to also set the intention, since we're so early, for the space being a positive one, for us to come together to look for the good in others and take refuge in each other's experiences of this planet that we share together. And hello, dear Melinda. Welcome. Hello, Amber Angel Seed. Welcome back. Nice to see you and your lovely name again. Hello. You all are very early. The live stream has just begun today, and today was a late one. You haven't missed anything, Amber, don't worry. It is I who have been missing you. Before I start my lives, I like to respond to my messages and record a section from the Bhajanamrut, which we've been reading and posting on my YouTube channel. And on Sundays, I like to record the next episode of ASMR for our Bhagavad Gita series. So with that, I had a lot of responsibilities to take care of before going live, but now I'm here with you all. And hello, WV. Oh, some of my favorite labial approximants, W and V. How could we exist without them? Hello, dear Priscilla. Here's our 710. I don't think we need to sacrifice life for any cause. Answer your question. But we can use the passing of someone that we love as a reminder for the testament of their values and what they stood up for. And hello, dear Chloe. Hello, Pleasant Moon. And Master, you are wondering, what do you do when the negative feelings won't go away? You double down on your patience and your trust, because no feeling can stay forever. If we watch an emotion grow, it always grows into something more than what it is now. Having a kind of curiosity really helps, I find. Like if you're feeling anxious, there's almost a way of allowing yourself to be anxious, and inadvertently that transforms the experience into something that you wouldn't call anxiety anymore. It's the same root feeling, but seen from a different angle. Like, for example, anxiety is really close to excitement. Maybe an overwhelming kind of excitement, but it's not so difficult to have anxiety transform into a positive sensation with the right perspective, that you value the knowledge that this experience is giving you through this feeling, and you let it blossom, no matter how uncomfortable it may seem at first. And hello Esther. You ask such a beautiful question. How can I be kinder? Oh, how lovely that question is. I think just by asking that question, you invite more kindness into your life. I think if everyone asked themselves, how can we be more kinder, then naturally we would find the world to be a kinder place. And hello, Auntie. My Sunday has been very well so far. Thank you for asking, Ingrid. Pleasant Moon, you ask, is it the idea that you are not the emotions but the one who feels them? That's a beautiful perspective to have, and such a useful one. Whatever we experience, if we are the one experiencing it, then there must be some space between. Since the emotions occur to us in the same way that other things occur to us as objects of experience, maybe more abstract ones than physical features of our environment. Nonetheless, it's still something that has a space between you and it, and therefore acknowledging that space can make you feel allowed to be vulnerable, because you know the emotion can't touch you, that there is this space that exists between you and everything that occurs to you. A more abstract kind of space than a physical one, a spiritual kind of space, you could say. Today is ASMR Sunday. So, you are right with that idea, Dawn. And hello, Jack, and your lovely girlfriend. Howdy do to you both. The Mixology Mix Show, you're wondering why dreams affect us so emotionally. I think because when we dream, we are closer to ourselves. The subconscious is a deeper experience. It's closer to all of our wounds, all of our vulnerabilities, all of the things that we hold tightly, sometimes away from the waking state and our existence in the physical world. Our own dreams are our own making. In some sense, they are created from the impressions that the world has made on us. There are many things that don't leave much an impression on us, and it is those things that we are not attached to. But our dreams, by definition, are all the things that have made an impression on us, all of the things that we do feel some connection or relationship with, either for better or for worse. And I think that makes dreams often much more intense or emotional than what we experience while awake. And hello, dear Flo. Hello, Esther. You also asked a beautiful follow-up question. Would you see less suffering if you are kinder? I think kindness takes you to all the places where kindness can be used. And naturally, where there is suffering, there is the greatest potential for kindness, because that place needs it most. I think the most beautiful souls see the most suffering because the beauty of their soul takes them to these places where they're needed most in many ways. So we may experience less suffering personally, it may take us to all of those who are in need of our kindness, and they may be suffering more than we are. And I have not revealed the question of the day, but I think we can. So thank you for asking, Lakonen. And thank you, dear Anna, for the ice cream cone that you sent. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Tatvam Asi, thank you for your quintet of roses. Jai Nisargadatta Maharaj. Today I'm actually wondering how you are doing, how you are feeling, and how you would like to feel. And I hope that how you are feeling is how you'd like to feel. But if not, that's okay too. We can check in with ourselves. And hello, Marlon. Hello, Dalen. You like the new profile picture? Well, it's one of the stickers that's available in the live subscription of Sandy. Esther, you share that your mentor said that there's always room for improvement, but you don't know how kind to be. Some people think you are too kind or too selfless, and it is bad. I understand. And from the place in which they're speaking, that absolutely makes sense, that we don't want to be kind in a way that sacrifices anyone's well-being, including our own. But the truth is that you can never be too kind or too selfless, because kindness includes kindness to your body, your mind. Being selfless includes taking care of yourself for the purpose of being able to be there for others too. All right. Now, back to the question of the day. Val, you share that you are feeling depressed and hopeless and you want peace. That's a beautiful vulnerability that you've shared with us. And hello, Monday. You are on a healing journey right now and struggle. 3 weeks in, any advice? 3 weeks in? Oh, I'm 22 years into my healing journey because that's how old I am in this life. And when I'm 80 years old, I'll be 80 years old into my healing journey. The whole journey makes room for healing, because there's always something to learn from or grow through. And that's a process. And the best place to be is in the middle of a process, because that's where life takes place. There is no destination where suddenly you're healed and knowledgeable and grown and you figured everything out. Because that would be like death. That would be like a state in which there's no more life to experience, no more mistakes to make, nothing more to feel, no more experiences. This life is a process, and it always will be. You are right where you need to be in the healing journey. Michelle, you share that you would love to be content at some point, and I'm sure you shall. Amber, you share that you have actually had an incredibly rough day. You're experiencing resistance with your guru right now. Well, that's natural. Gurus, they can be very disciplinarian, that's for sure. But it's all for the love of the source that exists within you and getting that out. Priscilla, you are feeling well. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you for asking me too. I am well also. Lovely Lala, you had shared that you are sad too and wishing to be happy and not hurting. Sometimes we can be hurting and happy. I trust that this is a possibility for you too. Amber, you are hoping to feel more motivated to make better choices. Been improving on it, but it's hard. All that is good requires effort, requires moving upstream, and you are doing well. And hello, Chloe. You are feeling scared and uncertain, and you'd like to feel brave and certain. I love that. Auntie, you feel great, and you like the feeling of your inner peace. Well, sounds like there's many people who would love to share some of what you're experiencing. Flo, you took a nap today. Good. Amber, you add that you're having a hard time understanding the selfless aspect of Karma Yoga. Your guru said that you need to learn to receive. In many ways, learning can also be a giving, because we provide a space for people to share their experience. I believe that allowing someone to teach you something gives them value. And I think that's beautiful. So I think even in receiving something such as knowledge, there is that selfless aspect of Karma Yoga, of doing something for the greater good. I recently made a video on Karma Yoga. I don't know if you saw that. I hope that it's one that assists you in your studiousness. Thanks for dropping in to say hello, Hexakin, and good night. And to the people in here, thank you. Esther, you share that you sometimes want to change lives so that you can stop feeling other people. I know what that feels like. And you can feel and know people's thoughts and emotions, and you wish it would stop. These kinds of siddhis, these spiritual sensitivities that arise on the path, they are natural and naturally overwhelming. I believe that as we open up, there are just going to be more and more things that could be kept track of. But if we surrender to that whole process and just allow ourselves to kind of get lost in all of the feelings and thoughts and people and places and things, then in some sense we are never lost, because we know that wherever the currents of life take us, we are right where we need to be. In Pleasant Moon, you were wondering if I could answer your question. Are you the real you when you are on certain substances, given your emoji usage? Is that true? You are the real you whatever you do. You cannot be anyone else than you. But sometimes the real you pretends to be someone else, and you are the real you pretending to be someone else in that moment. Naturally, we gain many expectations from others, from how to be in this world, the roles we have to fulfill. And sometimes certain experiences like substance use can take us back to a state of being without expectant roles that you are expecting to fulfill. But they are not necessary to abide in the true self. They are like nature's backup weapon, a set of chemicals that attach to synapses in the brain that we can activate from the inside out. We just have to know the right sadhana, the right spiritual practice. For example, in substances such as cannabis, there are various chemicals called cannabinoids, and they bind to receptors in our brain that fit them, called cannabinoid receptors. What this means is that there's something in nature that binds to something that's a part of our own inner system and produces a corresponding effect. But what many people do not know is that there's a whole class of cannabinoids called endocannabinoids. And these fit the very same receptors, but they're generated from within. In fact, all of the synapses that psychoactive chemicals bind to, they're all fired in a similar way, using only what's generated from within. So, in that sense, you do not need to get chemicals from the outside that we can produce equivalents of from within. In this way, substances can bring you to a state in which you feel like yourself, but you can also do that by yourself. It just requires a different approach. Now we are exploring different concepts in parallel with exploring the question of the day. So thank you for allowing me to do both. Lakonan, you shared that you'd rather be in pain and happy than as now in comfort and sad. That is profound. And Pleasant Moon, you share that you feel at peace and you have learned to move away from any negative vibes. Grid, you are feeling tired, exhausted, mentally and physically, and you would like to feel reassured and relax. I imagine that's a possibility for you always. Federica, you share that you are feeling in heaven, that's in my presence, and you'd like to feel, and that's all you'd like to feel. Well, I am very honored to have a space in which we get to share such beautiful sentiments together. Mason, you share that you're feeling lonely and you want to feel okay with being alone. You're very welcome, Pleasant Moon. Lo, you share that you are feeling tired today and would like to feel more energetic. Talon, you share that you're feeling in love with everyone and would like to feel like you protect your heart more, probably. Alright. I am always happy to be aware of how you're feeling and how you want to feel, so you're welcome to continue sharing this with me, and I'll do my best to be sensitive to that, take all that into consideration. But I'm going to pause our question of the day for now. So thank you for exploring that with me. Mermander, you share that you are grouchy lately and you dislike it. That happens, and that's okay. You also ask how I'm feeling. Today, I feel very well. Last night I was having a very intense headache that wouldn't go away, but I woke up in such peace. It has gone away, and I take that as a bit of a miracle. It's never guaranteed that we're going to feel good on any day, So whenever I do feel good, I try to make the most use of it as I can. There was a big storm last night, indeed. Radhe Radhe. Hello, dear Magdalene. Thank you, dear Kent and Lisa, for the heart me and trio of team bracelets and trio of cheer you ups you sent to. Jai Sitaram. And Pleasant Moon, thank you for your rose. Om Namah Shakti Shavaya. Thank you, Gina, for your pair of roses too. Radhe Radhe. And Mermander for your heart me. Mermander, you shared that I looked peaky the other night. I don't know what peaky means. But my headache happened after my live stream anyway, so I was still feeling very good in my live stream last night. Now, I would like to read from another section of The Hidden Power in Humans. This is a book about chakras and kundalini by a genuine Himalayan yogi who looks just as stereotypically like a yogi as you might imagine, and I think that's amazing. I'm very drawn to him. Right now we are in the middle of learning about the Manipura Chakra, which is about our solar plexus, our navel, and the energy centers that exist in there. And we're just wrapping up the nature of the Manipura Chakra. And we'll just dive into some exercises for it as well. Amber, your guru looks similar. That's great. And hello, dear Don Suela. Mermander, you share that it means like green around the gills. Well, that's another one you'll have to explain to me. I've heard that one before, but I don't know what it means. And thank you, dear Peter, for your rose too. Radhe Radhe. And future axe knife thrower, thank you for your subscription. I look forward to our shared journey on the spiritual path as we learn from one another. And thank you, dear Mermander, for your cheer you up. Hari Om Tat Sat. You're almost out of metaphors. Just a little under the weather. That one I do understand. Alright. I would like to put the cover up in case people are wondering what we're reading as they join. So let's finish up our inquiry into the Manipura Chakra. We ended on the Bija mantra, the seed mantra of the Manipura Chakra being Ram. This sound is developed from the vibration caused by the meeting of the Nadis, the energetic rivers in this center in our navel. If we sing Ram for some time and specifically allow the R to vibrate, R, we become conscious of a pleasant feeling of warmth and the flow of energy. And as such, we ended last night's live stream on the Ram mantra, so you can listen to that if you want. The seat of words itself is in the Manipura Chakra. This is demonstrated by the following experiment. Place your thumb on your navel and say a word out loud. You will notice that you feel a vibration of the sound first in the navel before it is discernible on your lips. The sound begins in the navel, rises to the larynx, and manifests as sound from the lips. Exercises that strengthen and harmonize the Manipura Chakra are therefore also beneficial for all types of speech impediments. I wish I knew that when I was younger. Sri Mahaprabhuji, which I believe is the guru of this guru, said, "While your hands work, carry the God's name on your lips and allow your words to flow like radiant pearls from your lips." The best word of all is the name of God, the mantra. Therefore, always practice your mantra. If you do not have a personal mantra, then mentally repeat Om Shanti Om. Om is the original sound of the divine, and Shanti means peace. You will experience how this vibration fills your inner being with harmony, strength, and peace. And through this, your attitude to the external world and your fellow beings will change for the better. In Buddhism, there is a much recited mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. In this mantra, Om is the original sound, the symbol of God. Mani is the jewel or pearl, the very same word in the Manipura Chakra. Padme means the lotus, or symbolically the lotus feet of the Master. And Hum is a very auspicious Bija mantra, which by itself means I bow to, or even I am. Altogether, this mantra means Om Mani Padme Hum, my adoration to the lotus feet of the Master, or my adoration to the Master of the jeweled city. It also says, I am the jewel in the lotus. Myself carries all these jewels as divine qualities within. The lotus, as the symbol for beauty, clarity, wisdom, bliss, and spiritual awakening, corresponds precisely to the qualities of the Manipura Chakra. This is why the vibration of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum influences this chakra particularly and frees us from inner problems and complexities. Those who pray, meditate, and repeat their mantra daily are blessed. Through effort, knowledge, trust in God, and the blessing of the Master called Guru Kripa, everything turns around for the better. Choose the divine as your constant companion on your journey through life, while you allow the divine name to constantly resonate within you. Those who feel God within live in eternal joy and never feel sad or abandoned. At the beginning of your meditation, always concentrate firstly on the Manipura Chakra. If this energy center is relaxed, then the Muladhara, the root chakra, and the Svarishtana, the sacral chakra, will also automatically relax. Then the energy can flow upwards unhindered, streaming towards and upwards to the heart. Through this, you experience a happy and deep meditation. When the energy flows harmoniously within the Manipura Chakra, a feeling of total well-being develops within us. And when we feel well, everything goes smoothly. This feeling of well-being permeates the entire body, mind, and psyche, and is therefore an important prerequisite for our health and ongoing spiritual development. We'll pause our reading of the hidden power in humans there for now. And next time we'll talk about exercises for the Manipura Chakra. Thank you for listening. And now my attention is fully back to you all. Thank you, dear Shlini, for the heart me you sent. Hello. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Gina, thank you for your heart me and your rose too. Om Dum Durgai Namaha. And hello JD, you just watched my Bhakti Yoga video. On a side note, I hope it was informative for you. Gemma, you are wondering, what is the best way to love someone, romantically speaking, according to the gurus? That's a very interesting question. Well, many gurus will probably break your heart by telling you that romantic relationships are mithya, and that we should seek spiritual relationships above all else. But this doesn't mean that we have to abandon our partner. Instead, it means that we cultivate just a different kind of relationship with them than the one that society might expect for us. That means that we love our partner as they were a brother or a sister, a spiritual companion on this journey of life. However, I can't imagine that many people here will hear that and feel excited to approach romantic life with that perspective. So we can adapt their teachings to a more realistic point of view. First and foremost, what makes a romantic or an intimate relationship different from any other relationship is due to the proximity of the body. It's the one that you wake up next to, the one that you go to sleep, the one that has the capacity of binding with your own faculties to produce life. But regardless of if you do produce life in a physical sense, the two of you have an energetic connection that is able to bring life into this world, either through physical means or more subtle means. For example, many great lovers, they choose to direct that same energy that could go towards a child to a creative endeavor or even a business or a humanitarian project. They choose something else as their baby and bring life into the world in a different way. So taking advantage of this energy is a powerful thing. It is the most powerful energy. We have to respect that. We have to look at our partner not as a place to extract happiness or extract love, but to express love, but to express happiness with. What makes love different from business or lust is that with love, it's all about giving. The opposite of that is all about receiving. That would be lust. How do you know when someone's in love with you or if they just have lust for you? Well, if it's all about what they can do for you, then that's love. And the joke is, when it's just as much about what we can do for each other, then that's a business. I do this much for you, that means I get this much in return. I get this much, this means I do this much for you in return. ideally we should move from lust to business to love, from receiving to receiving and giving, and then just to giving. And then the ideal partnership is when it's just about giving. That both partners are just trying to give more than each other. There is a competitiveness that you do this much for me, I'd never expect anything, and so I'm going to one-up you and do this much for you, even more. Those are some thoughts. Mason, you shared that. You are feeling lonely and you want a companion to love. We all need a place to put our love. It's true. Sometimes we feel like we need to be loved, but we are love itself. We don't need any more ourselves, but we do need a place to put all that love. And having someone to love just makes us feel in love, because we abide in that source within us that is able to give so freely, and that exercises our true nature. And even when receiving love, we are giving, because we are giving them purpose as well, empowering them to share the source that's within them too. And you're so sweet, Taylin. You put all your love here, lots and lots. It is felt. Thank you. Hello, dear Marcy. You share that for the Sangha today you brought boba tea and pastry crisps as a Sangha snack. I like that. Although I never feel the need to eat or drink while I do these, I do think about you all, that some of you stay for the whole thing, and I wonder, I hope you are eating and drinking and going to the washroom and whatnot. That's good. That's a beautiful physiological addition, Esther, that love releases a chemical throughout our body. It regenerates you. I love the way you put that, very precise. It's not that love is the chemical. Love is what's responsible for releasing that chemical. The endorphins, serotonin, oxytocin, even a little dopamine gets released in love. All of these make the body feel good, and the mind empowered with minimal friction. I love that glitter. Connecting to the stream of love and watching others do the same. So beautifully put. Lumi, you share that you look for resonance, yet it seems that's always too much. We all have unique experiences of life. And although we can't expect our experience to resonate with another's, it doesn't have to for a deeper kind of resonance to take place. The deeper you go within, the closer we are, the more similar we are. It's only on the surface that we appear to be in different places in the world, brought up in different cultures, with different bodies, different minds, different personalities, different beliefs. But on the inside, well, we all bleed the same color. We all have a heart that continues to beat at this moment. We all have lungs that breathe. Even deeper than that, we've all experienced the same emotions, just expressed in different ways. Deeper than that, we all have a similar ambition for happiness, and we all have the same source of happiness within. Pleasant Moon, you ask, alright, if you have learned everything you need to in this lifetime, then what, spiritually? Then you must be moving on to your next lifetime. There are no wasted moments. Also, can one learn everything they need to learn? Everything that can be learned will be learned, that's for sure. But we only are able to learn one thing at a time, and no doubt to me there are infinite lessons to learn. So I imagine there's always something more for us to learn while we are here. And thank you, dear Kirsten. I must be honest with you that I have very little wisdom and understanding myself. I simply amplify all the wisdom and understanding that is here, shared in this space. Maybe a mirror, a reflector to all that which is within you. Hello, your mom. Welcome. Rhiannon, you share that the more you continue on your spiritual path, the more you realize just how similar we all are. In fact, even our diversity, the ways in which we're different, speaks to our unity. Because we are all here, and not just separate but connected, that means we're all part of a greater whole. And via the connections of this greater whole, we are all bound by the same source, the same potential, the same possibilities. Therefore, even our diversity speaks to our unity. Now, Talon, you're wondering, I just noticed that you start your messages with the yam emoji. I think I'm remembering that you've been doing that. That's very cute. You asked, does a guru have to be older, or does it not matter? There have been many examples of gurus who are younger than their own disciples. Like in the Swaminarayan tradition, Swaminarayan was very young when he started accepting disciples. Also consider Jesus. I think many of his disciples were older than him, and he was definitely a spiritual master, no doubt about that. Ashtavakra is another example. Tattvam Asi. Age is not a qualifier, but with age does come a higher vocabulary, more stories to parse your experience through, a greater cultural understanding to connect with larger audiences. So there are many benefits to going to someone who has experienced more of life through this body. But at the same time, there's a benefit from younger people because they have fresh minds too. They exemplify youthfulness that perhaps older people can be drawn back into their younger self through. They're closer to childhood and the spiritual fervor that permeates those younger years. I think wherever you find a teacher, there is an aspect of their being that facilitates their teaching. Thank you, dear Hriyanan, for the heart me you shared too. Hare Krishna. And Celestial Echoes, thank you for your heart me. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. And what a beautiful sentence you shared, Amber. I want to be forever teachable. I love that. Hello, dear Alex. You shared that today you took my advice and danced and did some art, feeling a lot more in your body today. Well, you're so very welcome. And I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you. That is a wonderful way of getting in touch with your Shakti, your power, to express all the possibilities that exist within you. How beautiful indeed. Thank you, your mom, for the friendship necklace you shared too. Radhe, oh Radhe. And thank you, Ragnhildur, for your trio of roses. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Thank you, Celestial Echoes. And your mom, thank you for another 7 roses. Om Brahm Bhairvaya Namo Namaha. And Simply Dawn, thank you for your heart me. And Tiny Tiny. Yippee! Thank you, your mom, for your pair of music plays too. Jai Sitaram. Rhiannon, you are wondering if I could speak on it being unsafe to chant Om when not ready. And is it okay to chant the other chakras? That's a good question. It is advisable to prefer Nama Japa before Diksha, before initiation from a spiritual master. Nama Japa means that you're chanting holy names of divine forms. And with those mantras, the word Om is in there. Om Namah Shivaya. And there is no qualification for chanting these mantras that have Om in them. And no qualification for Nama Japa in general, the repetition of holy names. I have heard that some teachers generally unadvise people from just chanting Om by itself until you are ready. I think it's because we can get very lost in the impersonal reality that Om represents first and foremost. Because when you think of the divinity that Om represents, it's very formless. Unlike Shiva, that has his trident and long hair and the snake around his neck, or Kali, that has her tongue out and her many arms ready to annihilate the universe. Maybe blood dripping from her. Anyway, it's best to first connect to a personal form of the divine, to do Nama Japa in mantra. But personally, I don't believe there's any problem in chanting Om. You are welcome to chant Om, as it is one of the Bija mantras for the chakras. We can chant any Bija mantra for the chakras if we want to facilitate their blossoming. Lam in the root, Vam in the sacral, Ram in the solar plexus, Jam in the heart, Ham in the throat, Sham in the third eye, and Om in the crown. However, mantras that are usually given as diksha, as initiation, one that would be whispered into your ear from a teacher, these are the ones that you should be very cautious surrounding because they do require qualification. Some people have revealed their guru mantra, and as such they can roam about on the internet. And you can usually tell when it is a guru mantra, when it has an additional bija syllable in it, besides Om. And, I would be cautious of those mantras. But to be honest, I don't know why people have such a caution around such mantras. I don't fully understand the danger. Just to be safe, I'm only repeating what I've heard. But by itself, I think Om is fine. And thank you, your mom, for your pair of music plays, your 10 ice cream cones, your ice cream, your love, your finger heart, your 10 cloud breads, your pair of fires, your pair of whipped coffees, and your 34 roses. That is very kind of you. Thank you. Radhe Radhe. Amber? Yeah, you thought the third eye was Om. This is a big misunderstanding, and one that I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, because I was looking at the symbols for the chakras, and inside you'll see a Devanagari character corresponding to the mantra. Inside the root you'll see Lam, and in the crown Om. And in the third eye, you'll see this funny, looks like a letter 3 with a crescent moon and a dot above it called a Chandra Bindu. And I have no idea where that came from because it's not a Devanagari character. It doesn't refer to any sound. So somewhere along the line, someone made a mistake. And because most people don't read Devanagari, they themselves don't correct the mistake and just copy it to the symbols of all the chakras. So still to this day, on all of the symbols of the chakras you'll find on Google Images or whatever, you'll find a character inside the third eye chakra that doesn't exist, that doesn't correspond to a sound. So that made me wonder, why do people assume that it's Om when the crown chakra is already associated with Om? And eventually, diving deep enough, you'll find that the bija for the third eye is Sham. So there is a difference between the third eye and the crown chakra, and I believe that's also covered in this book, from the Hidden Power in Humans. I hope that clears up any doubt. You thought the crown chakra was The crown chakra is Om, but some people write it as AUM, which is a discussion that's very nuanced as it goes into the Sandhi, the joining of sounds in ancient Sanskrit, because the letter O in Sanskrit is actually a conjunct of A and U, and together it forms Om. Thank you, dear Simply Dawn, for your tiny yippee. And I did say Bindu. Bindi is something slightly different, but it has the same root. The dot that people put on their forehead is a bindi. That's bindi. But the center itself is called the bindu. And what is the Bindu chakra and what is its function? Well, good question. We'll find out as we continue reading. It's so rare. I've never heard of it until reading this book. So I'll discover it with you. Actually, I love that movie that you suggest, Archer. The Swiss Army Man is so beautiful, in my opinion, and so symbolic. Thank you, Word of Yahweh, for your 11 roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. I didn't realize until recently that the bindi corresponds to a center up here, and not just our eyebrow center, our Agna chakra. Oh, you were thanking me for allowing you to have a conversation in my stream, Pleasant Moon. Of course you are welcome. It looks like there's a moose on my screen. I have to solve a one-piece puzzle to prove that this is live. Yes, I'm always happy when I see such delightful conversations happening amidst the audience too. Now, Matt Myers, you asked, how do you constantly achieve a serene life? If you want a life that's free from challenges, then you're in the wrong body. A human life is always going to be full of challenges. But that's not to say serenity isn't possible even amidst challenge. It is possible. Within this life, we are met with so many moments of adversity. The secret is not to try to minimize that, but actually find a perspective in which even those moments give rise to meaning and purpose. Because it is during those challenging times that we have the best reason to continue being happy, despite what the world is trying to tell us, despite how many people try to get us from our inner sanctuary. We have a perfect chance at maintaining our tranquility, our patience. Life inspires a reason to continue to embark on that inner journey. Now, speaking of the chakras and the third eye, I'm curious what the art piece in this book uses. Since there is an art piece for each chakra, I wonder what symbol they have at the center. For the third eye, they leave out the mantra actually, but they have sub-mantras on the left and right, which is hum and ksham, and also this artist uses om as well, I see. So, according to this book by Paramahansa Swami Maheshwarananda, though they don't use the incorrect symbol for Om, they do say that Om is used for the third eye also. Now I'm curious what the crown chakra says too. Same thing, for the crown chakra it is Om and spelt the same way. Thank you, dear Innovision, for the Heart Me and Pride glasses that you shared too. Hari Om Tat Sat. J Days, you were wondering what book we were reading? This is The Hidden Power in Humans. Oh, and I just noticed. It's the very same diagram on the front. I was looking for the third eye chakra. It's right on the front of the book. Why are you wide awake? Asks Rhiannon Clark. I imagine it's quite late for you. I am curious what time it is for you. If it is anywhere close to 3 in the morning, then or 4 in the morning, then that's known as Brahma Muhurti, which is the hour of Brahma, of the ultimate, and it's one of the best times to meditate. If you find yourself conscious around this time, it is very easy to be super conscious, to enter into a state of samadhi. Thank you for sharing so much positivity. Hello, Esther. That's beautiful. I love how much joy you have to share. It is 4 a.m. there for you, Rhiannon. Well, you are right in the middle of Brahma Muhurti. Entering into a meditative state will be very easy for you. The reason that hour is so auspicious is because at that hour, the light from the sun becomes tangent to the earth. It's not yet hitting anything, but it's coursing through the air, going past you, so to speak, into space. Thank you, dear native girl, for your heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. Archer, you share that you have a deep inner statement to give. You feel like a universe that can only show a handful of sand. That's profoundly poetic. It is something deeply heartbreaking that inside each and every one of us is a source that knows no bounds, no limitations. It is mathematically even beyond infinity. And yet we can never know it in full, because we can only ever express one aspect of our inner higher self at a time. In each moment, we can give but a grain of sand. And as our life goes on, we add to that pile of sand, we add to the experiences which we express. But we can never surmount the infinite depth that exists within. Talk about an iceberg in which we only experience just a bit of it on the surface. If, however, that iceberg was deeper than the ocean itself, beyond infinity, Amber, you are wondering what my first language is. You know, linguists say that the most complicated and structured language in the world is what toddlers speak. That the grammar and syntax of the sounds that come out of a human when they're first learning to speak is wildly bizarre and intricate and beyond our current understanding. I think that was my first language, baby talk. Then it slowly transitioned into English. And I'm learning the beautiful and ancient language that is Sanskrit. And that's about it. Thank you, dear native girl, for your pair of finger hearts. Radhe, Radhe. Ragnhildur, you share that you are looking at the supermoon. It's so beautiful. Oh, how lovely that is. Sol Invictus, you were wondering if I could speak some Espanol for you all. Well, I know very little. A mí me gusta beber el agua. To me, I like to drink water. A mí me gusta beber el agua. Maybe it was my higher self that told you I spoke another language. Maybe indeed. And my lower self just has yet to catch up to exactly what this other language is. I know many people tell me that I tell them things in their dreams that I have no recollection of in the waking. All I can hope is that my dream self is kind to you. Since I have no idea what my dream self gets up to. Thank you, dear Saturnus, for your heart me, your 37 team bracelets, and a pair of cheer you ups. Radhe, Radhe. Dansuela, you share that you woke up this morning from a dream about me. I don't know whether to be curious or not. I can't lie, I'm curious always. I love to know about dreams. It's my favorite alternative to making small talk about the weather. Instead of asking, how are you feeling? What have you been up to? I ask, what color do you feel like right now? And have you had any dreams lately? If I'm forced into small talk, those are my go-to questions. You are feeling green, Amber. Just like the heart chakra. Thank you, Ragnhildar. And Rianan, you'll go chat after collecting some water. Good, go hydrate. Wax, you share that you feel bad that you squished an ant that was in your kitchen. What should you do in the future? The first of 5 yamas, which are principles, which are ways to conduct yourself, is Ahimsa. Some people translate it as non-violence, which was the way that Mahatma Gandhi used for the civil rights movement in India. And in that context, it makes sense. But if we wanted a scholarly definition or translation of the principle of Ahimsa, the most accurate would probably be least harm. Himsa means harm rather than just violence, because there's many ways which we can cause harm, not just through violence. And that prefix "a" doesn't always literally negate whatever it's prefaced to. Sometimes it means to minimize, and it's in that way that Ahimsa should be translated as the least harm. So, if we were to understand Ahimsa as non-violence, absolutely no, then naturally we'd get confused, because there will be times when we squish a bug. But we also have a responsibility to making sure that the food in our house is safe and free from contaminants, that the people in our house aren't going to eat something that is infested. So the principle of Ahimsa is not necessarily broken if you were to squish an ant, if you were to inflict harm to an insect, because it's not trying to find absolutely no harm. It's a balance which minimizes the harm for everyone involved, including yourself and your family. If there was a way to take a bug outside of your house that doesn't cause harm, even better. But if there's an infestation of them that you're dealing with, then it might be impossible to be able to ensure food that is free from any harmful contaminants for you and your family without having some means such as that. But it is a last resort. So do forgive yourself. If you can in the future, just relocate the bug. But Ahimsa, the principle of least harm, means that we just minimize the harm for everyone, including yourself and your family. Thank you, dear Archer, for 201 roses. That's a lot of roses. One for each of us to go home with, one over our ear, and one to offer to someone in the world who is struggling right now. Yes, good night, dear Priscilla. Now, Amber, you are wondering, what about when you shining your light makes other people feel badly? Well, I hope that your light inspires others to share theirs too. Always is there room to ask ourselves, is there a way in which I am taking light away from them? Having humility means that we feel comfortable inquiring about this. And if we have trust that we mean no harm and that we are genuinely sharing something without sacrificing any of their needs to, then that's something that they're going through. that's a harm that they're inflicting on themselves. Because it's not your goodness which makes them feel bad. It's their own inability to accommodate your goodness, to appreciate it. That's something that they're inflicting on themselves in that sense. But I would consider that possibility, just as you would consider the possibility that maybe there is a way in which we can help them to shine too, so that they don't feel like we are doing so in comparison to them, in contrast to them. And that's a beautiful question. How do we intuit their needs in a selfless way so you can shine harmlessly? If they are open to it, then we let them shine for us. Just like a parent who helps their child with a project for school, even if ultimately the parent did 90% of the work, we let the child take all the credit. We let them shine for us. We let them be in a mirror to reflect all the light that we have too. And this does not diminish the parent's light. In fact, it only adds to what they give to the world in a way that does so without taking any credit. Beautiful humility. Just like Ram Dass had a beautiful ability to speak, a master orator, and he would always say that before I met my guru, I'd be stumbling over my words, I would be mixing up my speech and tying my tongue in knots. Everything that I'm able to share comes from my guru. In that sense, the guru is shining through him. So we can let ourselves shine through other people too. And I love what Kobe adds to the discussion too. Be yourself and work on self-improvement, no matter what others say. You clarify, Amber. So just like, speak less. Not necessarily your voice deserves to be heard. But if there is a way in which we can maximize our meaning in the most efficient way, that's a beautiful thing to do also. There is an art to saying more by speaking less. But that's not to say that you have to suppress your own voice at all. So please be affirmed that you have so much within you that definitely deserves to be expressed. Esther, you are wondering, what is Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is a song. Gita means song. Bhagavad means divine. Specifically, it means a personal form of the divine. Bhagavan is one of the technical forms of the divine in Sanskrit, which refers to a personal, intimate form, one that you have a connection with at a human level. So Bhagavad Gita means a personal divine song. But this is a long song, isn't it? Actually, it's not that long. The Sanskrit is much shorter than the English translation, and with this comes a lot of commentary that is in between the verses of the song. But it's also a book that has teachings, a scripture that has been written down. It is a set of chapters from the longest story ever. which is known as the Mahabharata. It is, I think, 10 times longer than Homer's Odyssey and the Iliad combined, which are the longest epics in Western literature. This Mahabharatam is 100,000 verses. And the Bhagavad Gita is the best part of that gigantic story. It's a song that is said to be sung on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is somewhere in India, during the Mahabharata War 5,160 years ago. And it was sung for the purpose of spiritual liberation for the next 432,000 years after that conflict. And we are 5,160 years into that. This period of time is said to be known as the Kali Yuga, the Dark Age. And in this age, we require a very specific approach to spiritual transcendence towards happiness. The Bhagavad Gita sings to us how we can be happy in the Dark Age, in an age where hypocrisy and quarrel seems to be the biggest feature of our global community, in a world where our leaders are working for their own benefit rather than our benefit as the people. In the Bhagavad Gita, it teaches us to find happiness through Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Through our actions for what we can give to the world, through our devotion, how we can bring love into this world, and through our knowledge, how we can bring wisdom into this world. And there are other yogas mentioned as we go through this book. I've been reading it ASMR style on my ASMR YouTube channel, and we are in the 12th chapter now, which is about 2/3 of the way through the book. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for the disco love you shared too. Jai Sinta Ram. And hello, Jake. I will always have a soft spot in my heart for mathematics because it led me to my spiritual awakening. And thank you, dear Tegs, for your heart me, your 7 tiny tinies, and your quartet of TikToks. Hare Krishna. Rhiannon, you are wondering, when does the Dark Age end? The global Dark Age is said to traditionally end in 427,000 years. So, a long time. But that's for the nature of the global community, for the nature of nations, the nature of the world at large. But the Yuga cycle also happens within an individual. And within an individual, we can go through the ages in our spiritual journey much faster. The definition of Kali Yuga is a time in which nature is determined according to Tamogun, which is the quality of darkness, the quality of ignorance. And the complementary age to that is the Satya Yuga, the age of truth, and that's when Sattva Guna is prevalent, the quality of goodness. And we enter that whenever we are in a spiritual space. If we enter into, let's say, an assembly of spiritual seekers, You might find that in a church or a synagogue or a mosque or a monastery or a temple or a mandir. You may find that in your own home. You may find that in a part of your daily routine, in your meditation, for example, in your prayer. But we always go through the ages. We always go through this in a cycle. It is inescapable. No matter who one is, there is always going to be another age approaching us. And this is the nature of material existence, of living in this universe, is that there are cycles of creation, preservation, and destruction. But you are beyond all that. Ultimately, the soul, this true self, the Atma, is unaffected by the turning over of the ages. And that is true, Amber. Certain yogis like Sadhguru share that the Kali Yuga is over. Also, Paramahansa Yogananda says this too. But these are non-traditional views. I'm not saying they're wrong. In fact, I have so much love and respect for Paramahansa Yogananda and Sadhguru. I see them as teachers in my life, and from their perspective, I believe that they are right. But from the majority perspective, from other traditions, from most traditions, it is said that we are in the Kali Yuga. The reason there is a difference, by the way, is because they measure the yugas differently. According to Sadhguru or Paramahansa Yogananda and his guru, Sri Yukteswar, as you can find in his guru's book, the Holy Science it's called, the first preface is about the calculation which takes into account the precession of the ecliptic and how it ultimately points to the fact that we have been referring to divine years instead of human years. That originally the yogic system was described in terms of only a few thousand years for each part of the cycle, and then that got converted from divine years to human years. But non-traditional yogis like Sadhguru or Paramahansa Yogananda, they say that actually that isn't human years, no need to do any conversion. You know, it's like the conversion between human years and cat years or dog years. Your cat may be how many human years old, but how many cat years too? Anyway, my personal view is that we would expect to see such a disagreement in the Kali Yuga. That if there was going to be an age where there's so much disagreement between where we are, it would probably be in the Kali Yuga. Anyway, I agree with what Amber shares, that I believe there's a way in which both can be true. And the most important view is how we are within, how we are embracing a Satya Yuga, age of truth within our own inner world. So to be clear, I don't believe anyone is wrong necessarily. In fact, even more traditional teachers like Swami Taratmananda, who is the guru of a close friend of mine, who's in a very traditional lineage of Advaita Vedanta, he says that there's lots of evidence pointing to a world that is getting more sattvic, which means it's on the ascending arc, going into higher ages. Anyway, depends who you ask at the end of the day. At the end of the age. Yes, there are said to be four parts of a cycle. Full cycle is called a kalpa, I believe. And within that there are 4 yugas. 4 ages. There's Satya Yuga, which is the highest, then Treta Yuga, I believe, then Dwapara Yuga, and finally Kali Yuga. I might have mixed up which comes first, Treta or Dwapara. But anyway, they are intermediary ages between the lowest and the highest. Is that Nish's guru? Asks Grateful Human. No, Nish is a disciple of Swami Sarva Devananda, and his lineage believes that we're in the Kali Yuga. I know this because I had this conversation with Nish before. I asked him about this. And actually, his lineage is a devotee. It contains devotees of Kali. He's a part of the Ramakrishna Math, who are fervent devotees of Kali, and they say, this is the age of Kali. We love Kali. Kali is the goddess. So this is the best time to worship her. So it's not all bad being in a Kali Yuga, because Kali is also a name for a goddess, and it's her turn to bring out some really deep truths in the cosmic play. And we can find beauty in that too. But good question. Thank you, Tegs, for your hand hearts you sent earlier. Hariom Tatsat. Mischief, you said that you feel so connected to Kali. I imagine you do, because Mischief is Kali's middle name. So Amber, you were wondering, what's the essence of the next cycle? Well, the next Yuga also depends who you ask, because some people believe in a Yuga cycle that goes down and then back up, and others believe it's more of a cycle. That is to say, some people say we go from Kali right into Satya. Other people say we go down into Kali and then ascend all the way up through Dwapara and Treta all the way back up to Satya. So much confusion in this. In the next Kalpa, I have no idea. In the next cycle, that's probably one that has very similar circumstances to the whole cycle that we've been in for the last how many thousands or millions of years, but different ways of that being expressed come forth. It's always going to be the same universal truth that gets expressed, just in different ways. I believe that Sadhguru had shared that in this cycle, the way to truth is through awareness. And awareness is the means of attaining liberation. And I believe that he bases that off of a text called the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, which is a tantric text that outlines 112 ways to liberation, and the 84th way is through awareness, and that's apparently what this cycle represents. So whatever the 85th way is, the ultimate truth, maybe that is what the next kalpa, the next cycle, will represent. Now, hello dear star emoji. Gilan, welcome back. You are wondering if I believe we are the universe experiencing ourselves as God. Almost. If I were to put it the other way around, we are God experiencing ourselves as the universe. Why? Put it this way. Because we can never experience God directly. Because God is the one that is ultimately experiencing everything, including our own experience through us in this form. The reason that we feel a sense of self is because we are a part of that greater self we call God or Source. And what we experience as an expression of that self is the universe. The universe is what is experienced, and God is what is experiencing. Just reverse the subject and the object. Now, Archer, you share that you find it hard to sleep because you think too much. That seems to be the universal criterion for whether you are going to sleep or not. It's 5:42 in the morning for you. Oh, dearie me. Well, I trust that you will get rest when you need to. Yes. I find that we can use our mind to help us sleep. We don't have to be antagonistic to get it to shut up or anything like that. The easiest way I fall asleep, personally, is falling into dream first. According to the model of 3 states of existence: waking, dream, and deep sleep. It's very difficult to pass from the waking into deep sleep because they're further apart from each other than the waking is to dream or the dream is to sleep. Sleep would be categorized as the state where your mind is the most silent. Coming to that, dream is easier to attain first, in which your mind is still active, it's just more subtle. So perhaps it would be easier to bring your mind to a dream-like state first. And a dream-like state would be one where you're just kind of floating between ideas, and ideas that take place within you, that don't have to do with your responsibilities in the waking state. Just deeper truths that are expressed in dream. I like to imagine myself as an arrow that's being shot from a bow and travels around the world, fortunately never hits anything, passes in between 2 lovers kissing or underneath a bridge, flies into the sun, into space, falls back down, skips across the water. It's a very dream-like experience that I imagine, and that helps me many times fall into sleep. That's very funny, Enchantress Theodora. You put your thoughts in a jar, then go to sleep. I like that. A dream jar. And that's right, Midnight Whimsy. I am making videos again. I can't promise that they'll be at the same budget with special effects and whatnot, but I'm learning a new editing program. I hope one day I can. Thank you, dear Archer. Speaking of archery, for your hand hearts, your pair of roses and 9 roses. May you have a beautiful sleep and wake up in peace. Radhe or Radhe. And Hybrid Jen, thank you for your finger heart. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. And Mischief, thank you for your rose. WV, you share that there is someone stealing my lives and making an account with it. Oh, that's not something that I've heard of before. How so? Are they clipping it and then uploading posts of that? Or are they taking the recordings and pretending to go live with them? I know that there are impersonators and scammers that re-upload my videos, but I'm not aware of what they do with my live streams. Anyway, if they are using my live streams, then I should say in this one that The only TikTok account is YAMSOX. There are no backups, there are no second accounts, there are no services that I provide that cost any money. And the only place that I upload my lives presently is on my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel. Also my ASMR channel for the ASMR Sanghas, like the one we do today. Now good night, dear Midnight Whimsy. Tiggs, you share that you've seen a lot of scammers record other people's lives and people actually send gifts. Oh my goodness. I feel sorry for those who are vulnerable, being taken advantage of in that way. I would not want their money sent to support a place that does that. Always be careful who you're sending your money to, even if it seems like me. The safest thing you could do is not send money at all. In fact, if that guarantees people's safety, then I would prefer that for everyone. Thank you for your rose mischief, and Tags for your 25 ice cream cones. Radhe or Radhe. Hello, Kelly the Lamb. Much love to you. Bryce, you are wondering if I have any words of wisdom on breakups and how to heal. 4 years gone, just like that. 4 years gone just like that. Hey. Oh, I don't think that's fair to yourself, putting it in terms like that. This moment is gone just like that in each moment. Every moment passes by just like that. And the love that you've had during that time, that never goes anywhere. Though you've experienced loss in the form of the role you can play for this person now, what does that say for the role you have played for them? Does that invalidate your experience that you've had? Not at all. How wonderful is it that you got to experience love, that you got to love? Maybe it wasn't always the healthiest, and that's okay, because we're learning. All the love that you've built up in your heart to give them, you'll still get a chance to give that in other ways. And one of the ways that you can continue to love them in this moment is by respecting their boundaries. And though they might not acknowledge it because they worry that to do so would imply that they're inviting you into a vulnerable place for them that they are unable to hold for you at the moment, I am sure that deep down they will absolutely appreciate that. Our heart gives so freely. Sometimes it may feel like we give our whole heart to those we love. And once they stop accepting our love, then we've lost our whole heart. But the heart is a miraculous organ in many ways. So, please know that your heart always has the capacity to heal, and your grief is of the very nature of healing itself, allowing yourself to process these feelings. That is the most beautiful thing you can afford yourself during this time. And thank you, Rhiannon, for your pair of tiny still. Yippee! Hare Krishna, you shared that you're about to have a first 24-hour shift. Any tips to stay awake? Oh my goodness. I suppose to rest in other ways. To give you a counterintuitive answer. May your whole body be in rest while you are in motion. May your mind be at rest while it is dancing. Expend as little energy as you can in order to be able to maximize your duration. Just like a marathon runner, they don't sprint through the whole thing or they'll tire themselves within the first mile. You have to pace yourself in all ways that you can be at rest. And I know that you'll be able to do it. Actually, it's not that difficult to stay awake for 24 hours. It's just that the next day you'll feel exhausted. I know this from making many 24-hour days myself, that it is possible to do it and experience a second wind, even a third, fourth wind, but the next day you're going to need lots of time to rest. Thank you, dear Bryce, for your galaxy. And with it you shared that such wise words deserve recognition and reward. Well, that's so kind. Though I do not feel like I deserve this, I am deeply humbled that you find wisdom in my words. As I will always remind you, the wisdom that you find is but a reflection of the truth in your own experience. That words may be used to guide you to that which you already have. So the words themselves cannot bear the credit, nor the messenger. All I have to give comes from the very same place in which we all return to. And that exists within me as it does within you. Thank you for expressing your gratitude. Satnam, as the Sikhs say. Irku, you are wondering what time it is here, as it's 6:55 in Finland. Well, good morning. For me it is 8:56 at night, so I'll slowly be bringing this live stream to a close. Oh, and I'm delighted that you found my YouTube channel for ASMR WV. Yes, I just recorded the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita in a whispered tone. I'll put rain sounds behind it and upload it this week. There's also some special videos there for you. Like I have a chanting tutorial for relaxation and a video walking you down, talking you down from a panic attack, from my experience dealing with similar things. So if ever you need that, it's there for you. The Dawn Gym, you are wondering if I have any tips on meditating and clearing the mind when anxious. Yeah, that's a great question. I think what we really want when we are anxious is to have no mind. But if you think like that, you'll just be in a contradiction with the nature of the mind. the mind has a duty. It is one of the 4 anthakarans, which are the 4 inner faculties of cognition. It's said that there are 14 sense organs. The 5 karmendriyas, which are the organs of locomotion, which include our speech, our vocal cords, includes our feet that take us place, includes our digestion, our excretion, our procreation, other taboo things. And we all know our 5 gyanendriyas are organs of perception, of knowledge, sight, sound, taste, smell, and touch. And there are 4 inner organs, inner senses, the anthakarans. This includes the mind, the manas in Sanskrit, the buddhi, the intellect, the ahankara, the ego, and the chitta, the consciousness. The reason I point this out is because it often happens that there becomes an antagonism towards the anthakarans, that we feel like we should stop our mind, not trust our intellect, or even, and the worst of all, is kill our ego. But they all have a purpose. Our manas works with our buddhi, and that works with our ahankara, and it's all managed by the chitta, the consciousness. So, my point is that there's no need to antagonize any of our inner faculties, our anthakarans in Sanskrit. We just have to understand their role and how they fit together. When our mind is overactive in a state of anxiety, we just need to direct it. No need to stop it or silence it. And the mind is directed by the intellect, the buddhi. We do so by continuously feeding it the right knowledge that will calm it down. And that right knowledge includes genuinely true affirmations like, this is a safe place for me. I am not in danger. That I'm allowed to feel like this. And it's okay to have low moments. Continuously bringing this experience to the buddhi, to the intellect, begins to calm our mind. When we get our mind to take instruction from our intellect like this, we can calm down. So too, the buddhi works, it functions based on the guidance of the ahankara, the ego, where we direct our sense of self. In a panic attack, our sense of self is probably in something that we're afraid of losing, like the body, or maybe like our status, or our role to someone else, all of these things that are mithya, or transient. So we direct our intellect, that in turn directs our mind, by reminding ourselves of our true nature. That is to say, we direct our ahankara, our sense of self, our ego towards the truth, that we are Satchidananda Atma, we are truth, consciousness, bliss, the self beyond these things, and that there is a whole reservoir of beauty within. We just have to be in touch with that. That we might have gotten lost in this ocean of Maya, of material existence, but we may pray to a higher power, that we find our way, that we get plucked from this ocean and placed on shore so we can catch our breath, having that service attitude, a reverence towards a higher power, makes us feel like we're allowed to not know what we're doing, since we can take refuge in something bigger than ourselves. And the chitta, the consciousness, well, That is our true nature, our awareness. So understanding how these 4 antahkaranas, these 4 inner senses work, can help guide us when we are feeling anxious. Thank you, dear Riyanan, for your trio of roses too. Radhe, Radhe. And I'm glad that you enjoy the audio quality, Vlad's dad. I'm very grateful for my father for giving me this microphone. He is a musician. Talon, you share that you would love to get rid of your ego. Then you feel like you would be the best version of a person. It's very common to think like this. And we have been told that our ego is a bad thing. But that's not true. Our ego can be misdirected. But if we direct it in a positive direction, then it becomes our best friend. All beings require an ego in order to exist, a sense of self. And in order to be the best person that you want to be, that means making your own ahankara, your own sense of self, into the best that it can be too. So it is definitely required on the spiritual path. There is just a lesson that often comes up that you are not your ego. So if you feel defined by your sense of self, then it's helpful to remind yourself that you are more than what you just think of yourself as. That how you experience yourself is only ever going to be a small piece of your true nature. Because you, as the experiencer, as the witness, can never truly see yourself. So our sense of self is always going to be dependent on what we can see. And that's only a slice of our infinite nature that can be expressed. And with it, the talk of ego death does get brought up a lot. And it's a relatively recent idea that traditionally is not talked about. Because traditionally, the ego was not viewed as a negative thing. It is an obstacle on the path, but obstacles are what challenge us and allow us to transcend this existence, become free from the suffering arising from the attachment to it. I just want to be very clear on the record. You cannot truly have an ego death, but we can have sudden and dramatic shifts in our sense of self, where it feels like something we used to identify with has died. But you will always have a sense of self. The spiritual journey is not in removing the sense of self, it's in expanding it. It's in making it more inclusive. It means that we no longer choose to see ourself as limited by the body or the mind or the buddhi. Not limited by our gender, not our race, not our nationality, not our occupation, not our family. That we see beyond those things and we find a reflection of ourself within all things. I think one of the funniest ways of exploring the humility of ego death is that many people have this profound experience and they say, "Oh, I've had an ego death. My ego has died." Well, who is this I that has had an ego death? Whose ego has died? You say, "Me. Mine. Well, that's the ego. Ego means your sense of self. It means the sense of I, me, and mine. If you feel like I have an ego death, and the ego is the one speaking. Our sense of self is always changing, though. And with that, there are little deaths, or sometimes really big transitions that can feel like we are losing ourselves. But with every loss, there is something else that we gain. With every death, there is a birth as well. And thank you, dear Rhiannon, for your trio of roses. And dear Hybrid Jen, for your disco love. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. And Marcy, thank you for reminding me. In the link tree in my bio, there are show and tell applications so that I can share some of the things that matter to you. With it is a form where you explain what you want to share, and you share a picture or a video. And I haven't gone through it in a few days, so I will make sure to look and see what's in there. But yeah, to conclude with, I don't know how to pronounce your name, Click You's question, who asked, is ego a bad thing? As we were talking about, probably a few minutes just before you came, ego is our worst enemy at times, but through sadhana, through spiritual practice, it becomes your best friend, actually. It becomes the very liberator itself and your closest companion on the spiritual path. We just have to have the right relationship with it, where we are guiding it rather than feeling compelled by it, switching the roles that we play with it. You're very funny, Marcy. You'll be getting your freak on with your ego. I just had to say that. It's so funny. And I love what you shared before that you have an ego-love affair consciously. And now I'm hungry for ego waffles. Ego waffles. Tattvam Asi, you ask if we can go a bit deeper on the manas, the mind. The mind is the lowest of the anthakarans in terms of authority, because the mind does not have authority over the buddhi, the intellect, and this is a very good thing, because that means in a panic attack we have something higher to use that's able to help our mind. And when even our intellect, our decision-making faculty is haywire, there's something even higher than that which we can use to guide it. So there is a hierarchy. The manas being the lowest means that it's the servant. And the more the mind behaves as a servant to the faculties above, then the better behaved it is. And the more fruitful our thoughts will be. However, that's easier said than done. Because the mind is mischievous and it does not want to be the servant initially. The mind wants to be in control. I don't know where it comes from. It's just in our original karma. It's baked into our being that this is just an obstacle that happens on the spiritual path. And in many ways, it kind of is the ultimate obstacle of the spiritual path. is that the mind wants to think for itself without realizing that it is just a piece of a larger puzzle, and that it has a duty to the higher faculties, to the higher self. The mind is the collection of thoughts. The mind is the collection of forms of consciousness. Consciousness becomes expressed first through a thought, then through an action, then through the physical. An important reminder is that we don't have to express all thoughts. That you're allowed to have thoughts that go unexpressed. For example, intrusive thoughts. You have a thought while walking down a staircase, my goodness, all I would have to do is push the person in front of me and they would tumble. That's a thought you don't have to express. This is the nature of the mind. And I believe that psychologists are telling us today that a healthy mind has intrusive thoughts. What's unhealthy is when they become expressed, when you act on these intrusive thoughts. That's what makes them unhealthy. Also, people can have big complexes surrounding their intrusive thoughts. They feel bad for even having certain thoughts, but this too is something that psychologists say, that you can forgive yourself. It's just the nature of the mind to have conflicting thoughts. As long as you identify with your thoughts, then of course you're going to feel bad for every negative one. But if you understand yourself to not be defined by any thought in particular, then you allow yourself to have negative thoughts, just as you have any other kind of thought. Yeah, I agree, Tattvamasi. It's our attention and prioritization that gives the mind a bad name. And it's ironic that it's ultimately the mind that gives itself a bad name too. Just like it's the ego trying to kill itself, the mind is telling itself that it's wrong. We just need healthier relationships with ourselves and the various aspects of ourselves. Casually cooking, you're wondering if we have true free will, and if so, does there not need to be some variable of randomness in thoughts? According to these 14 faculties of our being, from the 5 karmendriyas, the organs of locomotion, the 5 jnanendriyas, the organs of perception and knowledge, and the 4 andhakarans, the inner senses, there is one thing that we do have control over. Just one. It is very limiting. Our sense of free will, according to this model, is very limited. And that's the ahankara, our sense of self. That is our ultimate freedom. That is to say, what we do with our body, how we perceive the world, the thoughts in our mind, and even the decisions we make, none of that is directly influenced by ourselves. The only part of that whole system that we do get to influence is our ahankara, our sense of self. You could imagine it like watching a movie, and what part of the movie you identify with at that moment, where you bring your attention, where you bring your care, where you bring your willingness to understand. That's something we absolutely have freedom over. even if everything else is predetermined, how we choose to identify in this moment. And by that I mean something much more subtle than how we express ourselves. I mean how we feel conscious, where we feel a sense of aliveness in this experience. We can take that anywhere. But that's not to say that it's merely like a movie, because our sense of self does influence the plot too. Because depending on where we put our sense of self, we gain experience from that direction. That experience informs our buddhi, our intellect, and that makes decisions which influence our mind and cultivates a mindset. And from that mindset, we perform in this world accordingly. So we do influence this world through our body. We influence our body through our senses. We influence our senses through our mind. We influence our mind through our intellect through our ego. And our ego is influenced by our consciousness, and that's what we are. First and foremost is consciousness, having an experience on all these other levels. But the next level, just below the consciousness, is our sense of self. Because it's where we put our consciousness. It's where we direct our awareness, our witnessing. And that is our ultimate freedom. That power is called Sangha. The power of association. In this moment, what are you associating with? Are you associating with what has been and will be no longer? Or are you associating with the possibility that exists within everyone and everything? And thank you, dear Ryan, for your half a dozen roses. Hare Krishna. That's a great way of putting it, casually cooking. It sounds like a feedback loop to the rest of the faculties, so it is more influential than expected. Such an important observation. A feedback loop is the only possible way in which we can be conscious. To have a conscious impact in the world means being aware of what we can do, and then being aware of what we have already done, and then using that to inform what we do next. That aspect of self-recursion mathematicians know as the basis for chaotic systems. And chaotic not merely meaning out of order, but giving rise to a complexity that cannot be predicted. It's that possibility that is generated through recursion that gives rise to the most magnificent fractals, as it does to this human experience. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for your half a dozen fires too. Hare Krishna. And Gina, thank you for the gimme the vote. And GG. And thank you, dear fancy pretty monkey, for your gratitude. I'm only doing my best in this moment, that according to my experience, and I will always continue learning, just as we all are putting our best effort in this moment to be open-minded. BHC, you share that you had to put your dog down yesterday and you're wondering if you can hear some reassuring words. Absolutely. Please be assured that that is a very difficult decision, and naturally you're going to be wondering if it was the right one in that moment. But you made it based on empathy, on love and understanding, that although it means so much to you to have their physical presence in your life, you trusted that a part of them was ready to go, even though they'd be happy to be here with you as long as you needed them to. That is the selfless companionship of a dog, is that even when they are suffering, they say, I will be here as long as you need me. I might not be able to go and hunt for you anymore. But as a place for you to put your hand, for you to pet, as a place for you to give your love, I will stay here. And yet, even though that meant so much to you, because of your selfless compassion in return, you knew that it was time for them to be at peace. And what a beautiful thing that is. So thank you for having such beautiful compassion for a creature that you know was experiencing pain in the ways that we do too. I trust that all of the impressions that your lovely puppy has made on you throughout its life will stay with you, carved into eternity, and they will continue to live on through you too. Rest assured. Thank you, casually cooking for the campfire too. Om Krim Kalikaye Namaha. Now, Michael, you were wondering how I would suggest you go about attempting to educate the intentionally ignorant with compassion. I think the most compassionate thing we can begin with is understand that intentional ignorance is a contradiction. However, people do choose to live in ignorance, but they don't choose to be ignorant. How can I unbox that? That is to say, ignorance means an absence of experience. That they are missing an experience that would lead them to a shared understanding. An understanding to all those who have had the same experience. We can't give them that experience. It is going to be their choice to engage in that. And the reason that they choose not to get that experience is because to do so would imply that they have to question the nature of who they are. It requires deconstructing all the things that they use to support their sense of self. It means going up against their self-defense mechanisms. So in order to take them into a new experience, they would have to be vulnerable. And out of compassion, we can't force anyone to be vulnerable. In that sense, all we can do is offer the space for them to allow themselves to be vulnerable. And if they do decide to open up, if by their intention they feel comfortable, then we have to be guiding them with patience, with trust, without any judgment, because judgment will cause them to close up again. Unfortunately. It is just the same for us. If anyone judges us for the things that we do, we close up. But with a guiding voice, perhaps our mother tells us that it's okay to have made a mistake and that we can come out of the closet, that we're not going to be mad and we can learn from this together, then it is much more likely that they will decide to come out. But it's still not something that can be forced, because what's going on within their mind might not be enough for them to come out. There might be an inner force that's keeping them, and that's their own personal journey. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for your perfume too. Hare Krishna. Immer Wolf, you had asked, what if you are not able to have safe expression? I think because of accident or anything else like that. Then we find the ways in which we can express ourselves safer. No matter what one goes through in life, no matter how perhaps traumatized they have been during states of vulnerability, always, I believe, is there the possibility to become vulnerable again, to allow yourself the sanctity of your own self-expression. It just might take place at a different timeline, in a different way than another person who has experienced different things. Amber, you share that you need to be vulnerable with your guru. Absolutely, that is a qualification for the student. But you feel like you need him to be vulnerable with you too. You feel like you need reassurance that he thinks you're worth it. That's very understandable too. And the truth is that a guru will not accept you if they don't think you're worth it. The very fact that you have someone that you can call a guru proves that you're worth it. At the same time, a guru is probably not going to give you the validation that is going to reinforce the need for validation. And they may be hard on you in that way in order to cultivate an inner validation where we feel confident by our own accord. And that requires a lot of trust. Really, only a guru can do that. Only a guru can give tough love. Why? There's a beautiful metaphor that's given along with this point. Like a potter who has the spinning wheel. If they're making a bowl, the only way that they're allowed to push on the outside of the bowl without having it collapse is because the other hand is on the inside supporting it. So, the outward and inward pressures are balanced in such a way. Similarly, a guru represents the truth that we have to realize within. So, it's important that we see in them a reflection of our own inner light. Therefore, we know that we are supported from within. If from without there are any disciplinary actions directed our way. And even without a guru, this lesson is important because it teaches us that we can't expect to be a force of discipline for others if we're not supporting them from within as well, which is so important. And Amber remember, you share it's hard because he will validate everyone in the group except for you. That definitely sounds like a traditional guru. You're having the most authentic experience. There's a story of Ram Das where the same thing was happening to him. Is that it really felt like his guru was giving attention to all of the other guru bhais, all of the other brethren, except for him. His guru would only talk to him once in the whole Sangha. And one week the guru would say, "Tell the truth." And that would be his lesson for the week. And in the next week, the one moment he got with his guru would say, "Love everyone." And that's it. And then it would repeat back and forth, "Tell the truth, love everyone." He was getting the same old lesson. But everyone else was being given new, different lessons, and they were being allowed to go up to the front and sing and dance and express themselves, and he felt like his guru hated him. Now, he ended up having a growing hatred for everyone else in the group. And this was partially because he was responsible for the fact that so many people knew of his guru. Ram Das went to America and started doing teachings and writing books about his guru. So when he returned back to India to see him, he had brought with him so many other people. One day, this all culminated in a very funny episode where he was going to get on the bus into town to meet his guru with all of his guru bhai. However, he hadn't been speaking to any of his guru bhai because the resentment had grown that much. Pardon me. He wasn't able to get on the bus for this reason because one of the teachings that his guru told him was that Ram Das can't touch money. So he interpreted that literally. Later he interpreted that more metaphorically about not being attached to material wealth. But in the meantime, he literally gave all his money to one of the other guru bhai. They were his personal wallet. And because he didn't want to talk to this person anymore, he didn't want to ask for his money, so he didn't end up getting on the bus, and he had to walk into town for how many hours instead. And the whole walk, he was imagining all of the fun that they were having without him, and how by the time he got there, everyone would probably go, and that his guru wouldn't have any time for him. It took a while for him to walk there. In fact, much longer than the Sanghas usually are, so it was no doubt to him that the Sangha had already finished. When he got over the hill and finally reached the place where his guru was, they were having a party. So not only did his guru stay longer for everyone else, the day he didn't come, they were all having so much fun without him. Now he was so mad. He stormed down the hill into the place, the courtyard. And one of the guru bhai was filled with love because they were enjoying this party. They offered this leaf that had food on it. Oftentimes leaves are used in India. It's called the golden plate, because it has antibacterial properties much like silver plates. So he said to Ram Das, "Oh, welcome, glad you're here, have some food, there's some left for you." And he offered this leaf. And Ram Das snatched it out of his hand and just threw it at his face. And all the food was dripping down. And I imagine in that moment, the music stopped, everyone started looking in that direction. Silence. No one knew what to say, no one moved, until a little voice from the corner spoke out. "Ram Ramdas! Ramdas! It was his guru. Come here, Ramdas! So he walked over, he knew what he had done, he got on the ground, and his guru was stroking his beard, because Ramdas had a beard at that time, and he was saying, what are you doing? You know, are you angry? Are you sad? What's going on, huh? Can I feed you? Are you hungry? You walked here? And he got some milk, and he even started pouring it in Ramdas's mouth, you know, just really humiliating him at that moment. Eventually, Ramdas spoke up to his guru and he said, you know, Maharaji, I'm just so conflicted because you keep telling me, love everyone and tell the truth, and love everyone and tell the truth. Which is it? Because the truth is that I don't love everyone. Neem Karoli Baba spoke up and he said, I didn't tell you to love everyone or tell the truth. I said love everyone and tell the truth. Ramdas still was in his mind and he wasn't getting it. Something wasn't clicking. So his guru asked him one more question. Do you love me? And it was in that moment that all of his preconceptions and assumptions just collapsed and he started crying. Yes, Maharaj, I love you. And with that he looked up and he saw that at a human level there are so many differences in opinion and practice that no one could be the same. But at a higher level, everyone was here for the same reason. It was like turning a radio station to a higher level of consciousness. And at that level, at that higher level, he genuinely did love everyone. They were his Guru Bhai. They were his brothers and sisters. And all of their expression, this dance, this party, was an expression for the very same love that they had with Ramdas and his Guru. And that is a story that's always stuck out with me. And so when I hear that someone else is having an experience where their Guru is giving validation, so it seems, to others and not to you, I think you must be very blessed to be like Ramdas, because Ramdas was one of the most successful students of Neem Karoli Baba. Now thank you, Rhiannon, for your quartet of roses you sent a few minutes ago. And Ron, for your heart me, thank you. And Hybrid Jen, thank you for your quintet of roses too. Jai Sintaram. Danswela, you share, that must have been such an emotional experience, so upsetting in the moment. Oh yeah. I imagine so too. I love what the Buddhist monks say about the spiritual path, is that it's very ugly. Because we come face to face with all of our neuroses. All of our insecurities just come out at some point. And as a Buddhist monk once told Ramdas, anger is just old karma running off. We have to go through it. And as long as we're willing to make amends and take accountability, responsibility, learn from our actions, then such mistakes are allowed. Amber, you shared. Crazy because when your guru met you, he was like, wow, you are an advanced being. And then as soon as he really began teaching you, it's been so difficult. They are humbling, aren't they? And Esther, you share that you've always wondered why others seek validation from people. And you ask me, what is jealousy to me? Jealousy is so close to wisdom. I've said that before. Jealousy is so close to wisdom. Why? Because in jealousy, you acknowledge that someone is having a conscious experience of happiness in the same way that we could be. In order to even have that understanding, you must recognize that there is a consciousness in them that is in search of the same happiness that we are. That's very close to wisdom. We just need to realize that it's not just a similar experience, it's the same experience. That the very same consciousness in us is the same consciousness in them. And at that point, we can live vicariously in a positive sense through them. At that point, in wisdom, when we see someone being happy, we feel happy with them. Because we know that all that's possible for them is possible for us too. And I like that, Esther, you shared with a question mark at the end, that jealousy is the envy of others' happiness. And I will add to that, jealousy is the envy of others' happiness, which we don't realize is our own. And that's a beautiful point, Amber, that your guru is an incredibly kind teacher, and you're constantly seeing your flaws and in him reflected back at you. He rejects the parts of you that you are actually rejecting. That's beautiful. Well, I think it's a wonderful live we've had together today. I would like to start to wrap things up for tonight, since it's getting late on my end, and as I imagine for many people here too, probably a little too late for many of you. But before we go, I just want to ask you all my question of the day again, which is, how are you feeling? And how would you like to feel? For Skywalker, you're wondering, I live in Canada, but I thank you for thinking of me when it comes to a place that means something to you, called Chapel Hill in North Carolina. And Scotty, you share, never too late, no time like the present. I love that. Good night, dear Richie. And Rhiannon, you share that you're feeling much better than you were. You like how you're feeling right now. That's good. I'm happy to hear that. Mental issues, you are feeling a bit anxious. That's understandable. Thank you for your tiny, by the way. Just remember that this too shall pass. Jalen, you are feeling much more centered, and you would like to feel like you don't have acid reflux. I have heard that kombucha is good for that. I have heard that from one of you. Magdalene, you are feeling real. You would like to feel whatever it is that you feel, just with even more love than before. That's beautiful. The Divine Feminine, you share that you're feeling much better, but you'd like to feel muchier more better soon. What a great word that you've created, is muchier. I like that. And I am doing well. Thank you for asking, Rob. Amber, you are feeling calmer and more understood and validated. You're very welcome. Thank you for allowing me that opportunity. Do I think validation is important for students on this path? Absolutely. Though it might not be the Guru's role to validate us in some ways, it is absolutely our role as fellow spiritual seekers, as friends and family in this journey of life. So I feel a responsibility to do that for others, certainly. Zina, you share that you are tired, anxious and in pain, tired of being anxious and in pain, and you'd like to feel peaceful. That is a beautiful wish, and I know that this is possible for you. Good morning, Isa. Don Suela, you share that you are feeling emotional. Admittedly, it's uncomfortable in this moment, but you will feel through it. I like the way you put that, feeling through it. Well said. Soul experience. You just meditated before work in a hospital. Cleanse and recharge. It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing your love and light. Radhe Radhe Hari. Welcome, Yami. That's cute. I think Yami in Sanskrit would mean a conductor, literally. Since Yama refers to conduct, and making that ending into an E sound personifies it. A conductor, Yami, I think. I don't know, don't quote me on that. But it makes sense. Lisa, you are feeling far. I don't know if that's a typo for fear, but if you mean far, that's a beautiful adjective. And you want to feel complete. Tattvam Asi, you share that you tasted tulsi leaf after 30 to 35 years today, maybe, and it took you right back to childhood. Wow, that's beautiful. Much love to Tulasi Devi. WV, you are sad about your breakup and you would like to feel healed. And the sadness of your breakup is how you are healing. Amber Angel Seed, you're wondering what would Padma He mean? In Sanskrit, that's a good question. Padma, I know, is lotus. I don't know. Something to do with the lotus. Gina, you feel good and you want to feel appreciated. Well, allow me to remind you, given all that you shared with me, with how hard you work for your family, I appreciate the love that you have to give to all those that depend on you, all the way up to your present age. Without revealing your age, since I know that it is a secret for many people, I can say that You have given so much to this world, and I am grateful that you have been of such service to it even before I was born. And I love that addition, Amber. That sadness does have a sweetness to it when you lean into it. That's lovely. Mari, you share that. You feel empty, and you don't know how to feel. You just know you're tired. That makes sense. I am reminded what a Buddhist teacher said to me, that whenever you are feeling empty, remember that you can't be open without being empty. So your emptiness is a sign that you are open, that you have a sense of spaciousness in which life can be filled. And that's beautiful. It is said that from emptiness, from Akash, from space, all of the other elements of life arose. So it is within that womb that something will be born. Mental issues, you had asked how you can help so that two people in your house can get along again. I remember feeling like I was somehow responsible for the separation of my parents. Because if I am their child, if I am a product of their love, if they can't love each other, what does that say about me? But I have begun realizing that all of the love that they express through me is genuine and valid. And if there is space being created between them, then that's not something that I have to bear. I can love them both equally and treat them as individuals. And I imagine the same is true regardless of their role in relationship to us in life. That regardless of who we live with, that we have a duty to our relationship with them, and maybe that inspires their relationship with each other. But as long as we value the happiness that we can express with them individually, it's okay for them to not have things worked out yet. If it is our place to be an intermediary, if communication directly between them is too hostile, then that's a beautiful thing we can do, so long as we have a means of support too, so that we're not completely bearing all of the weight and pain that exists between them. Whenever there is a conflict between two people that are in your life, you don't have to pick a side. There are no sides. Just caring for them in individual capacities. That is enough. That's our duty, our dharma. And that's a good point too, Amber. You are full of wonderful words of wisdom. You share that we tend to associate our worth with our trauma. Absolutely. Ironically, there is so much value in the experiences we've had, including our trauma. We might see trauma as a detriment, but many people have used it to connect with the world and its suffering at such a level that we validate our own while simultaneously validating others. By being able to empathize with what other people are going through. Alright, I'm going to pause our question of the day there for now. Thank you for exploring this with me. That's a beautiful way of putting it, Amber. Drama is a portal to a very large question about worth. On the other side of that question is an answer to profound worthiness. Such a wonderful way of putting that. Yeah. Now, dude, you're wondering how to find peace. It's a funny question, because the goal is to find an answer that will give us peace. But in a very real way, peace is on the other side of the question. It's on the side of the question itself rather than the answer. It is from the place of looking that we do not know what we need. Because as everything we need, we can't see the peace inside us already. In this world, we only see an absence of peace. So we ask, how can we find it? But to ask this question implies that it's hiding somewhere. In a sense it is, but not in the world, within ourselves. But what does that practically mean besides flowery words? It means that we have a presence of peace within and an absence of peace without. And that absence of peace without is what's inspiring our peace to come. When there is a room for peace in the world, we go forth to bring peace to others. We be kind to them and we listen to them and we give them love and attention. And then we feel the peace flow from within to without. And we see the peace that is being generated, that they are receiving from us. And then we infer from that there must be peace within. How otherwise could we be able to induce this without? And thank you, dear John F., for your heart me, your finger hearts, your tiny, and your friendship necklace too. Dum Durgai Namaha. Alright, I'd like to close this live stream with another reading from The Hidden Power in Humans on the nature of chakras and kundalini. I think we are wrapping up our study of, that's the question of the day that we just did. We are wrapping up our study of the Manipura, the solar plexus chakra. And we are wrapping it up with a bunch of exercises. Naturally, just reading about these exercises probably doesn't translate well, paired with the fact that this is about to be a dump of information. Don't feel like you have to memorize any of this. I am going through this book page at a time, and for posterity I'm reading everything, especially for those who will listen back to the recording as an impromptu audiobook that I post on my YouTube channel. Anyway, I hope that we can take some practices live regardless. All right. Here are some exercises for the Manipura Chakra. And all the exercises mentioned here are also described in the book Yoga in Daily Life, The System, by the same author, Paramahans Swami Maheshwarananda. So, here are some asanas, some seats or postures that specifically work on the Manipura chakra. Many of these have diagrams. The first is the Paschimottanasana. How do I pronounce it? Paschimottanasana. Yes, the posterior stretch, which is next to number 1, where the person in the middle, I'll show you these to you too, is putting their head between their legs and their arms on the floor. That's what I look like when I've had a bad day. And then I start to feel better. The good news is that these streams are posted on my YouTube too, that dude, so you can find them there. The second is Trikonasana, the triangle, which is the second one, where the person in yellow standing up, one hand on their foot, another hand reaching into the sky. There's also the Shurangushtanasana, which is the sideways bend towards the toes, number 3. Person in looks like a baby blue or a teal. They are putting their head next to one foot, arms behind their back, doing a bit of a lunge, sideways step. Fourth is the Viparitakarani Mudra, the renewal of energy, number 4, where you lay back on your upper back and shoulders and put your feet into the air. Person in yellow. That's a great one. I really like that one, actually. The 5th is the Urdha Matsyendrasana, the spinal twist, number 5. And that is the person in blue sitting on the floor, twisting themselves, using the support of one of their legs. And the last of the ones with an illustration here is Santulanasana, the balancing pose, number 6, where you're just seated on your bum like a V. Like this person in teal. So Laris, you share that you used to do number 4 all the time. You are a yogi. Must be a samskara, an impression from a past life. There are also some exercises for the activation of the prana vayu, the vital winds within one's body, which are intimately connected to the Manipura Chakra. These include Bhastrika Pranayama, bellows breath, Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing, which there is a picture of too. Number 6, this person, where you use your middle finger and your thumb to exhale and then inhale on one nostril and then switch sides. And there's Ujjayi Pranayama. Those are some exercises for the activation of the pranavayu. Here are some exercises that specifically strengthen and purify the apana vayu. No illustrations for these, so if you want to look them up, please do so. The Jalaneti, the cleaning of the nasal passages. Nauli, turning of the abdominal muscles. Agnisara Kriya. There's Shanka Prakshalana, the cleansing of the intestines. Bhastrika Pranayama, bellows breath as well, that we mentioned prior. Ashwini Mudra and Mula Bandha. And there are some more exercises for the digestion as well as for the activation of the Manipura Chakra. One thing we can do is gently massage the abdomen in a clockwise direction. Is this clockwise? It is. Then we do Virasana, also known as Hero Pose 1, and Vajrasana, sitting on heels too. There are pictures of them that I'll display also. These two have a powerful effect on the digestion through the Vajra Nadis, two nerve channels that run from the big toe upwards through the front of the body. To promote good digestion, it is recommended that you sit in Vajrasana for 5 to 10 minutes after eating, where you sit on your heels. Other very efficient practices are standing from squatting, rowing, grinding in the boat, as well as Ashva, Sanchalanasana, Pada Prasara, Paschinamot. No, say that one more time. Pada Prasara, Paschimotanasana. And then there's also Shalabhasana, Dhanurasana, and Nuka Sanchalanasana, which are here. Those three at the bottom. Sanskrit is very beautiful. And much like German and many other languages in the Proto-Indo-European family, they make for some pretty hefty compound words sometimes. There's actually a lot of different exercises related to this chakra, more so than the other. I'll just read one more section, and then tomorrow we can continue with some exercises for the Manipura Chakra. This is the best practice for activating all pranas. What is that? Simply put, Kriya Yoga. It is a spiritual yoga technique transmitted to the advanced practitioner by the master directly. Some example of Kriyas include Agnisara Kriya and Nauli Kriya. Frequently our internal fire is weak and wasted. Our way of life and the food we eat are mostly comparable to inferior quality fuel that primarily produces smoke and is more likely to suffocate the flames rather than nourish them. Agnisara Kriya kindles the fire of the Manipura Chakra and bestows vitality and energy. Agnisara Kriya should only ever be practiced on an empty stomach, and therefore the best time is before breakfast. Here is how one performs Agnisara Kriya. First, we stand upright with the feet slightly apart and inhale deeply through the nose into the abdominal area. Then bend the knees slightly and place the hands on the knees. At the same time, exhale fully through the mouth. Then draw the abdomen in and up as far as possible, and, without breathing, rapidly and powerfully move the abdominal wall in and out 10 to 20 times. Inhaling again, come upright and take 2 to 3 deep breaths. Deep relaxed breaths, in fact. Then repeat this exercise again 2 more times. In the same way, as a fire is kindled by the bellows, the Manipura Chakra is stimulated by this exercise. With daily practice, any superfluous layers of subcutaneous fat around the abdomen disappear, together with circulatory and digestive problems. And with regular practice, any associated problems such as headache, tiredness, poor concentration, or lack of drive also vanish. And I'll just go through the performance of the Nauli Kriya as well. After practicing Agnisara Kriya daily for at least 3 months, you can begin to practice Nauli Kriya. This practice can only be learnt under the guidance of a yoga teacher. The technique of Nauli consists of drawing in the muscles along the side of the abdomen, while at the same time tightening those in the middle. You might have seen some yogis who are able to flex just the center muscles of their abdominal area, but contract the others within, and then putting them in motion into a circling movement. Through this, all the intestines and organs in the lower abdomen are thoroughly massaged, and with daily practice, numerous diseases can be prevented or even cured. Under the guidance of a yoga teacher. Alright, we'll pause our inquiry into the various practices concerning and relating to the Manipura solar plexus chakra, the city of jewels. Thank you for listening. Tomorrow, I imagine that we'll finish up with the Manipura Chakra and then start the next chakra, the Anahata, the heart chakra, which is my favorite chakra. Why? Because my name is Yam, and Yam is the heart chakra mantra. Now that dude, yes, I read your comment while we were reading, and I replied, but I guess you didn't hear me. Nonetheless, I wish to affirm you again that these live streams are posted on my YouTube channel, as they have been for the last 6 months or so now, so you can find all of them there. It's different from the YouTube channel that just bears the name Yamsox. Instead, it's Yamsox Lives. It's a different YouTube channel. I technically have 3 of them. The first is Yamsox, which is where I used to post other videos when I used to make videos on math and physics and whatnot. But since I started doing lives again, I made a YouTube channel just dedicated to the lives, and that's called Yamsox Lives. And yeah, that's the one that's relevant to this discussion. But there is a third channel, which is the Yamsox ASMR channel, where I post this live. I post all the ASMR Sundays, since I think they can be used as a sleep aid, as well as other things. Like today, I also recorded the 12th episode, actually the 13th episode, but the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita series that we're doing there. You found it, I'm happy to hear that. Now, thank you, dear Dub Darker, for the heart you sent just earlier. Hare Krishna. And Palladian, thank you for your heart me. Om Namah Shakti Shabaya. And thank you, David, for your trio of roses. Tattvam Asi, you had asked, what are Nadis? You thought that they were artery and veins, but you found they aren't. Here, I'll give you an analogy. There is something called ley lines. Many people believe that where we build our roads, there are already spiritual currents of energy. People have walked these paths before, even if we've never made a road there before. Ley lines, and at the intersection of ley lines are cities, where we find energy centers bustling with activity. So too in the body, there are ley lines, there are nadis. These are spiritual rivers of current, and along those we find many physical roads built along them too, like our veins, like our blood and lymphatic vessels, and of course our spine. That's along the Sukshuma Nadi too, the biggest of which. So they do line up, but there's a part of the subtle body, the Sukshuma body, which is distinct from the stool, the physical body, but they're intimately connected. Aylin, you shared that you thought it was the reproductive organs. I am sure that there are many nadis around there. And much like where ley lines are said to cross, producing cities, where nadis cross, we have energy centers called chakras. And there we find relative or relevant organs like the heart or brain or reproductive organs. There was a chapter in the book that we're reading dedicated to Nadis. So if you wanted to listen to that, all of the readings are clipped out along with every other relevant section during these live streams posted to the Yamsox Lives channel. Thank you, that dude, for your pair of tiny dinies. I have a tiny diny on my head today. I forgot to mention that. It says, Yippee! And Tattvam Asi, thank you for your trio of roses. Jaya Nisargadatta Maharaj. I hope you don't get tired of me saying that to you, because I know that he is a teacher that means a lot to you, and I wish to affirm his authority over mine when it comes to your spiritual journey. Such is why I always say that mantra for you. And with that, I'd like to begin to wrap things up. I guess we have already been wrapping these up. I'm happy to hear that. Alright. As I mentioned, I will upload this live, not to my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel, but the Yamsox ASMR channel. You don't have to keep track of both if you're just interested in the lives, because in the playlists on the Yamsox Lives YouTube channel, I always go in and add the ASMR lives to the same playlist, so they'll still be there. But yes, this live will be uploaded to the ASMR channel specifically. But the readings that we read together, they will be uploaded to the playlists in the Yamsox Lives channel. I hope that's not too complicated. I think I might make it sound more complicated than it is, but anyway, it's all in the link tree in my bio, and I'm sure if you're interested to take advantage of it, you'll figure it out. But thank you for being here. 7 Soft Kiss 7, you share that you just found my account, and you hope it helps with the pain you feel in your heart this month, as it's been terrible for you. Well, I'm very grateful that I have this space where I get to hold feelings such as the ones that you're going through at this time, and I hope that you use it in the way that you can for processing what you're going through, because here you're absolutely allowed to feel the way you are, and in any capacity I can be of help in the experiences I've had, please let me know. But thank you all for being here. Thank you, dear Amber. Good night, dear Jennifer. Hello, Mrs. K, and thank you for sharing the love of Jesus. Much love back to you and to Jesus. And thank you for being here, Taylin. Good night, Gina. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Namaste.